Well, good morning. It's good to be with you on this wonderful Thursday morning. Hope you are doing well as we continue moving towards Christmas, which is a week from the day. So we're getting close. It is almost here. I hope you have at least started your Christmas shopping. You know, thankfully, I have a wife who does most of the shopping. So I always joke if it was up to me, everybody would be getting socks and bubble gum. So if you receive a good present from the Stoddards this year, it's because of the awesomeness of my wife, not because of me. The next 2 days, today and tomorrow, we're going to be looking at Matthew 11. Today we're looking at Matthew 11, 2 through 6. Tomorrow will be 7 through 11. And we're going to be looking specifically at John the Baptist. We've heard a lot of talk about John the Baptist during Lent. John the Baptist is a pivotal figure in the Lenten story. I'm sorry, Lenten, in the Advent story. As we approach Christmas, John is a key figure in the Christmas Advent narrative. And we're going to see today one of one of my favorite parts of John's story. Today and tomorrow, we're going to see really one of the best parts of John's story. So let's read today. And by the way, it's not going to come off as one of the best parts, but for me as an individual, it speaks a lot to something that it can encourage me, and hopefully it can encourage you. So let's read today, Matthew 11, 2 through 6. When John heard in prison that what the Messiah was doing, he sent word by his disciples and said to him, "Are you the one that is to come, or are we to wait for another?" Jesus answered them, "Go tell John what you hear and see. The blind receive sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have the good news brought to them. And blessed is anyone who takes no offense at me." So we see here um, John in prison. And John is in prison for um, for the preaching he had been doing. Um, we see that John is um, John is Jesus' best friend. There was a Max Lucado wrote a book a few years back, probably 20 years or so now, that talks about how one of the things that every gospel has, the gospels don't have everything to get, don't tell all the same stories, um, but they all tell the story of John the Baptist beheading. John was Jesus' cousin. John was his closest friend in many ways, a pivotal factor in Jesus' life. Luke's gospel tells the story of John's birth and tells the story of how when Mary goes to spend time with her cousin Elizabeth, who is John's mama, that her unborn child leaps in the womb of the presence of Jesus in the womb. We see in the Gospels how John the Baptist preaches and reminds everyone that he is not the Messiah. John says, "I'm not the Messiah. I'm not even worthy to tie the thong of his sandal." That he says, "No, no, I'm not the Messiah. That there's one coming. I'll baptize you with water. One who is coming after me will baptize you with fire, and you should bear fruit. You should he will cleanse and make things right." So John knows, and then he baptizes Jesus, and they see all these things. So John knew who Jesus was. John knew what his role was, and John knew what the Messiah would do. John knew all of these things. And John's in prison because he had preached against Herod, and Herod locked him in prison. John probably knew he would be executed. John knew all these things. John knew these things. John knew them on an intellectual level. He knew them on a spiritual level. John knew these things, okay? John knew that his job was to be the one who would make straight the path for the coming of the Lord. John knew this. And John knew the Lord that was to come was Jesus. He knew that. What do we see here? John's in prison. John's in prison because he did the right thing, because he obeyed God. God told him to preach against Herod, and so he did. And because that, Herod locked him in jail. So John's in prison not because he did the wrong thing, but because he did the right thing. John is in prison because he was obedient. And now he's sitting there probably realizing that his execution's probably going to be coming up soon, because he knew that Herod's wife hated him. And so he probably knew it was going to happen. And so he's sitting there thinking about all that's to come. He asked himself, have I done the right thing? Was I right? Have I done the right thing? And in this moment, he doubts. Are you really the one who is to come? Are you really the Messiah? He doubts. He doubts that he had done the right thing. He doubts that Jesus was right. He knew intellectually Jesus was the Messiah. But in this moment, he thought, "Well, what if I was wrong? What if I was wrong? What if I got it wrong? What if I was wrong?" And I love that, because that is so human. We've all been there. Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. That was John the Baptist here. Lord, I believe, but are you really the one who is to come? Are you really the Messiah? You can believe deeply in Jesus Christ. You can make Jesus Christ your Lord. You can live for him fully and boldly. You can be a disciple of Jesus Christ and still have these moments of doubt, still have these moments of a crisis of faith. John the Baptist did right here. And no one loved Jesus more. No one knew Jesus closer. No one followed Jesus better than John the Baptist. John the Baptist was it. And yet, when facing his potential execution, when facing these moments, even John the Baptist, even John the Baptist had this moment where he's like, was I right? Was I right? Did I really do it right? One of the sacred trusts I have as a pastor is that I get to be beside the bedside of those that are close to death. And so many times I've looked into the eyes of saints who love Jesus, and they know their time is close. And they ask me, have I done it right? Think about the moment in Saving Private Ryan. Tell me I was a good man. All of us have these moments of doubt, these crisis moments. John the Baptist had them. I've had them. I'm sure many of you have had them. These crisis moments don't invalidate our faith. These moments of doubt don't invalidate our faith. These moments of doubt don't make us an unfaithful Christian. They just mean we're human. And that and that's why, what did Jesus do? He spoke truth to John and said, tell him what you have seen. And he actually quotes Isaiah to him. That's why you've got to know scripture. That's why you've got to know these things. So, golly, am I really a Christian? Well, Romans 10:9, if you believe in your heart, confess your mouth, you shall be saved. What if what if I've sinned too much? First John 1:8 and 9. If you confess your mouth, if you repent and confess, he who is faithful and just will cleanse you from all unrighteousness. What if God has forgotten me? Psalm 139, if I make my bed in hell, still there you'll find me. That's why it's important to bathe ourselves in the truth of Scripture, so that when we do have doubts, we know the words to turn to give us hope. So the question is not, are we bad? Have we failed when we have these crisis moments, these doubts? No. John the Baptist did. Everybody does. The question is, what do we turn to when we have them? What do we turn to when we have them? So that's why our daily time together, that's why our reading scripture, that's why our worship, that's why these things matter, because they give us the things to turn to when the crisis moments come. So John has a crisis moment. Jesus quotes the Bible to him. Today, when you have a crisis moment, what will you do? Let's make sure we know scripture. Let's make sure that we are plugged into the community so that we know we have somewhere to turn when these moments of crisis come. So, hey, thanks for being with us. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.